Hey everyone, Rick here, and it is time for another Dwarven Forge unboxing. And this time we're going with, oh yeah, you guessed it, Wicked Editions. Okay, folks, here's the label for the Wicked Edition set. As with all of the resin sets, the labels on the boxes are full colored and show you exactly what's inside. I mean, just from that image alone, are you not stoked to crack open this box? Speaking of the box, this is a brown cardboard box. Why is that bizarre? Well, I'm just so used to them being white, so I don't know if it began with this specific resin restock or if this is actually something they've been doing for a while now. It has been several years since I last picked up a resin set from Dwarven Forge, so this may be par for the course for them and may have been for some time. Now also, regarding the box, you can see the post office, the UPS was a little, juggling the boxes a bit. You can kind of see it accordioned up a little bit here. If it was any other company, I might be a little concerned, but believe me, folks, Dwarven Forge, their packaging is unmatched. These pieces, despite being resin, which the polystone resin they use is not necessarily fragile by any means, so I wouldn't be too concerned anyway. Definitely not something you want to just throw these pieces in a tote bag and swing it over your shoulder. Alright, so first off we have the instruction sheet. Gives you some tips and tricks on how to use your pieces. But not only that, there is a checklist of the various sets they have offered currently or perhaps in the past offered. Now, the next thing that I noticed when I opened these boxes is that the foam is different than the prior foam trays that they've offered in the past. For example, if you watch my Wicked Editions 2 unboxing, you'll notice the differences in the tray. First of all, the lid of the tray is not inserted into the tray itself. It lies on top. Additionally, the foam itself, I know this is kind of a nitpicky thing, but just to go over all the differences here, this foam is a much more brittle, not as dense foam as you'll find in the older trays. So the styrofoam trays themselves are different. But folks, here we go. This is Wicked Editions, the first expansion set to the classic dungeon line from Dwarven Forge. So there's going to be a lot of pieces in here that just complement what you'd find in the basic, for example, room and passage set, which is nothing but passageways, walls, floors, and doors. This is going to have some accessory pieces, some dungeon dressing, different shaped passageways, floor sections, all sorts of bits. Let me get these unboxed, unbaggied, and we'll take a look at what's inside. Okay, folks, just one last thing about the tray. I wasn't going to say anything because I had just gone on praising the Dwarven Forge packaging, but I think the public deserves to know, right? Especially with the differences in these trays. So if you may have seen when I had everything all baggied up in here, the floor, the big long floor tiles seem to have kind of been jumbled around. Well, in fact, they were. They were stacked up here with this little foam piece dividing them, but as you can see, the foam has started to crack and break, and especially this divider here was completely removed. There was a wall section in here, allowing those floor tiles to kind of bounce around in there. Now, being the resin that they are, that's incredibly dangerous, but I can only attribute the fragility of these styrofoam pieces, to this new, less dense, more brittle styrofoam that they're using in the trays now. So hopefully this was a one-off thing. Obviously it was a big problem with the UPS jumbling the box around a bit, but just as a FYI, that is now a thing. Okay, folks, and with the tray nonsense behind us, let's dig in. This is what we're here for. This is Dwarven Forge Wicked Editions. And despite it all, there is not a crack, not a chip on any of the floor sections. So let's start off right here. The floor sections included in Wicked Editions 1 is a 6x4 floor piece. This is fantastic for increasing the size of your rooms, and just think of the number of floor tiles you'll save. Normally, if you wanted a room this big or bigger, you'd have to use the equivalent of 6 2x2 floor tiles, whereas this replaces that with one single piece. You can see this awesome kind of knotted inlay here, and if you can kind of see the light and the shadows play on that, it is pretty deeply carved into there, which is just fantastic. Of course, the gritty paint scheme of the dungeon floors is fantastic. The stonework around the edge is something that I absolutely love. Now, we'll take a closer look at these curved passages in a minute, but this is an example of what I've been accustomed to with the outer edges of the Dwarven Forge pieces, where it almost kind of looks like a mud or clay paint scheme under those tiles. So to see these actually carved and painted in that stone work is awesome. Why is that? Because as soon as you'll see in a second, especially with these pillars, gives you the ability to have multiple levels. So these edges may very well be exposed in your builds, and it's awesome to see that you'd have the stone exposed there in that instance. And if you put it on top of, say, something like this passageway, then it kind of blends in better than just having it be a mud or clay exterior. And as always, beautifully applied felt on the bottom to keep your tables scratch free. A little bit too late for mine, but for yours, that's what matters. You get 2 of these, which is fantastic. Put them both together and boom, you have a 6x8 section. And of course, you can do that in multiple different ways, use them in 2 different rooms. It's just awesome. Speaking of these columns, now remember, folks, this is resin, which means, I have a ton. If you go see my Dwarven Forge videos where I've built some Dwarvenite, I built a huge dungeon just out of the Dwarvenite pieces. You may recognize some of these sculpts. There are the same kind of columns done in Dwarvenite. But folks, there is just something about the resin, the weight, the feel, the depthness of the sculpt. I don't know, is that a word? Depthness of, the design, the sculpt. It just looks and feels so absolutely fantastic. So you get 4 of these columns. And of course, the sound. There's nothing like playing with resin pieces. All right, next up is this. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on about this. This single piece is fantastic. A portcullis or just an archway. You can use it without the gate. But as you can see, kind of a demon head sculpted in the top stone there of the archway. Same on both sides. And then, of course, the gate itself. The big, maybe iron bars with the sharp, pointy ends. So that'll fit right in there. Raise and lower the gate. And this archway piece is the perfect size to cap off a passageway. Of course, you could put it in a room surrounded by walls as just the main gate. Heck, you can even put it halfway through a passageway and just make that, a barred area. You have to somehow get through there. And of course, if it fits in the middle of a curved passageway, you better believe it absolutely will on a straightaway as well. So that is the portcullis. Absolutely fantastic piece. Now let's look at these curved passageways. So in, the basic room and passage set, you have some right angles there. Well, let's take a look at a curved passageway. Oh, that's right. Same 1-inch square grid design on the floor tiles. And then, of course, the curved stonework. It does end up being a 90-degree angle. And That, I don't know. If I would have pulled out a Dwarvenite piece, I mean, they're fantastic. I love them. But just look at the depth of the stone carving. These are stones that have been piled up. Oh my gosh, it just, look at this. Is this not a work of art? I mean, my God, it is fantastic. Absolutely beautiful piece. And the weight. That's why I also like metal miniatures. Just the weight. Just feels like they're more substantial. Stairs. So here we go. We have stairs, and you can use these multiple different ways. In fact, if you stacked up, maybe not both of these, but if you had other pieces, you can see that two, because there's just basic floor tiles as well, are the same height as these two platforms stuck together. So if you did something, the lower stairs are the perfect height for 2 floor tiles tall. That's awesome. And then you have this, which is the same height as a column. So if you had this here and you built something that was built on top of some columns, you could build this just like that, and boom, go up, and you're there at the next level. So the way they've designed the stairs is fantastic. And the lower stairs meet perfectly with the higher stairs. So if you had something crazy like this even, that goes right to the base of the taller stairs. And then just the design of the stairs themselves. You have the stonework all the way around, the tiled top, the soft felt on the bottom of both. And of course, this one has a door. Does that lead to just a closet, a little storeroom, or does it maybe open into a basement area? That's up to you. But that is the stairs. You get 2 sets of those. Next up, let's go over here with the curved walls. Now, again, this is another thing where I'm like, my gosh, don't I have hundreds of these? Probably not hundreds, but in Dwarvenite. In Dwarvenite, the curved walls were in abundance. But you know what? I honestly think these may be my only curved resin dungeon walls. They are just the basic corners of a room. You can put them together and butted up a room so you can get a little alcove action in there, or you can make a circular room with all 4 of these. But it just adds another style, another angle to your otherwise right-angled dungeon room. And again, beautiful stonework, kind of that clay dirt under the floor tiles. Fantastic. You get 4 of those. All right, so we are now to the last 2 pieces, 2 of my favorite pieces. First, the straight passageway. Not only is it a straight passageway, but oh yeah, look at this. I'm going to really need this to focus because this is exciting as hell. It's kind of a bat, kind of a gargoyle or demon above the archway there. And it's bricked up. This must have been the way into a room, the way into another passageway, maybe something even like this. And you could absolutely do this and, make the adventurers or whatever have to get through that wall into the passageway because someone's bricked it up. What don't they want you to find in there? And look at that brickwork detailing. That's fantastic. But more than that, the legendary Dwarven Forge attention to detail. You have a little trowel there. Is that not fantastic? And a little bucket. And a couple spare bricks. So someone who was working on this left their utensils, their tools there. That is Fantastic. All right, the final piece. This is the face of Wicked Editions. The Demon Passageway. This is a 6x2 straight wall section with fantastic stone work, stone masonry, little rune up there, and you can see some unique stonework around the top of the arch. And from this view, you see these giant fangs, but of course, the main view, boom, right here, this creepy, crazy demon face, tongue, bewildering eyes. Oh, yeah. Flared nostrils. Absolutely fantastic. Love it. Folks, this is Wicked Editions. This enhances your basic Dwarven Forge setups. And I'm not even going to say specifically your resin sets. Oh no, this will absolutely enhance your Dwarvenite as well. I am in total support of mixing resin and Dwarvenite. It is fantastic. But folks, this is resin. Treat yourself to the luxury that is a Dwarven Forge resin set. There's nothing like it. Folks, thank you all so much for watching. I do truly appreciate it, and until next time.